Okay, so this will be pretty informal. I've got some stuff that I can share, and if you have questions along the way, just shoot them out. What I've tried to do is take offense from an approach of what's a holistic view, and then what are pieces that we can take in a way to teach it. I think that maybe is a little bit different than maybe, I don't know, the way other people do it. But anyway, so we'll try to have some fun tonight. If you don't know, I'm Marty Wescott, so I'm the associate head coach at UVU. I've done a lot of different things in lacrosse in Utah. I've coached high school at Bountiful and Olympus, coached at BYU, coached at the University of Utah, so probably the only one to do that. You know, that was kind of a dark time in my life when I was at BYU, so. But there, you know, that's great. And I love what they're doing up there, that's awesome. I've probably coached, I just roughed it out, maybe like 550 games. Just in this last year, I think I coached 50 games with different teams, tournaments, that kind of thing. Probably done about 1,800 practices in my life, and you know, some other things. But so I've done a lot. I've been around the block a little bit, and I know most of you. Coach Jack back there a little bit, and he was one of my players at Olympus. So anyway, so I've been around. I have an unhealthy love for the game of lacrosse. I think there are certain ways that it should be taught and done, and I have very strong opinions about it, but I don't force anybody to believe my opinions. There's 100 different ways to do it, and these are just some of the things that I think can help us maybe be a little bit more productive as we approach particularly offense. So one of the things that I promote in offense is, you know, like Ricky Bobby said, I want to go fast. I think in the college game at least, we've now changed some things that are helping us get there. So we have a shot clock, an 80-second shot clock. What you used to see happening is substitutions on every play, and you got coaches calling plays, and it's like way too controlled. Back when I played in the 80s, we kind of would have this saying that, you know, we're either going to shoot the ball or drop the ball within about 15 seconds. That was, you know, it was one of the two things. And there was a lot of up and down. If you don't have any opportunity maybe to relate back to the 80s, I'll give you a recommendation. So Adam Gittleman up at the U, he has a foundation that goes and helps kind of start lacrosse in underprivileged places, introduce lacrosse. And it's a cool thing, but if you go and you contribute to his little foundation, he has now created this library of lacrosse games dating all the way back to the mid-80s. And you can see the kind of the evolution of the game in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s if you just go watch some of those games. So for me it's fun because that's when I played, but like, you know, people today, you might want to go and actually watch Dave Petramala play. Dave Petramala is the coach at Johns Hopkins University, considered to be, you know, probably the best defender to ever play, and he has film of him playing. And so it's, you can kind of see, but it was very up and down, very fast, and I think that's the way the game should be played. So when I talk about being fast, there's really three different elements to that. There's being fast, just speed, footwork, you know. There's ball movement in the way that the ball moves around, and then there's decision making. And I tell players, really, if you have two of these, you can be very, very effective. Like, you don't have to be the fastest kid on the field, but if you can move the ball and you have a great stick and you make really good decisions, you actually appear faster than you are, okay? So if you're fast, like we've got a kid on our team right now, he's just blazing fast, and so, you know, he's out there and he just runs by guys every single time, and that's great, but everything we do, we design to go fast. So we play aggressive defense, we are aggressive on our face-offs, we're aggressive in our man-up, everything we do is designed to play fast. So that's just one thing that, you know, I think is out there. Two, I think that in lacrosse, as you'll find in other sports, players are overcoached. So you're going to get, like, you know, you watch the college basketball, the last 4 minutes take 20 minutes to play, right? Because if they stop every 10 seconds and call a timeout, they call a play, it's like, just let them play, you know? This kind of goes to the next point, well, this point right here, which is, you know, you got coaches on the sidelines oftentimes yelling every single thing at their players. Go here, do this, go here, do that, and X and Y and Z, and, you know, your kids, particularly the youth, they can't comprehend all of that. They can't hear you. You've never put a helmet on, go put a helmet on, run 30 or 40 yards away from your coach and tell them to yell at you. Because you won't be able to hear, right? They can't hear. By the time they comprehend what you're yelling at them, oftentimes that situation is past. Because it's, like that. It's like whether it's a ground ball or whether it's a pass that they should make, whether it's a shot they should take or whatever. They don't comprehend what you're yelling at them, and so that moment is gone. So this idea of, let's not overcoach them. Let's coach them on the sideline. Let's coach them during practice. Let's teach them. And then, on Saturdays, let them play. Just let them play and see what they come up with. Even in practice, see what they come up with a little bit. One of the things we're doing with our club teams is we play 3v3. We call them 3x-nights, and we just come and we just play. And the idea is to let them get back to kind of playing free lacrosse and playing sports. Like we all grew up playing basketball in the driveway. You weren't coached. Nobody told you how to do it. You just went and played. So Jamie Monroe used to be the coach at the University of Denver, and he also started the 3D lacrosse company. And this is his really, really big thing right now, is he calls it backyard lacrosse. Just the idea of just play, And you do it with tennis balls, and you do it with, just helmets and gloves, and so they just play. It's just like playing pickup 3-on-3 basketball. And you can do that in your practices, just, have some fun. Let them be creative, let them make decisions, let them figure some things out. But it's this idea of just kind of letting kids play a little bit more, and it teaches them the game when they play. I'm a very, very strong advocate of coaching and technique and doing things the right way. But this is an important part as well. It's just kind of letting them play. Let's not be that coach that tells them every single thing they're supposed to do. There's college coaches that do it too. One of my great friends, my son plays for a coach right now, and he just yells the whole game. The whole game he's yelling. And at some point your players just tune you out anyway. So this idea of just teach them and keep it simple and then let them play is something I think that is important. Be great at something. Okay, so kind of, and most of you are youth coaches, but you kind of say, hey, we're going to be great at one thing. We're going to be great at ground balls. We're going to be the best team at ground balls. We're going to be the best team at passing and catching. We're going to be the best team at face-offs or whatever we are. Just try to be great at something, and you can teach that to kids as well. So I've had players on my teams that weren't great athletes per se, right? They weren't the fastest kid on the team. They weren't maybe the most coordinated, but they could really catch the ball and finish inside, right? So it's like, great, we're going to put you on the crease. All you ever have to do is catch the ball and put it in the net. That's all you have to do. And I've had players be very successful at doing that one thing. They can't ride, they can't run up and down the field, they can't pick up a ground ball. But great, we're going to put you right here and you're going to be successful. The face-off guy is usually somebody like that, right? There's a movement right now in lacrosse to remove the face-off out of lacrosse. Probably won't happen, but you'll probably see in the next 5 years more adjustments to how the face-off is done. But the idea there is that oftentimes your worst lacrosse player is dominating the game. Like the guy who can't even throw and catch a ball is dominating the game, right? So be great at something, and we tell kids, look, go to your strengths. And I'm an advocate of making sure kids can go right and left-handed, and they have all the techniques, and they're doing all the things that they should be doing, and you got to teach them, and you can't let them off the hook of saying, hey, it's not important, but on the other hand, let's also help them be successful where they're going to be strong. Okay? Passing and catching. This is the most fundamental thing in lacrosse, and it is the most important thing in lacrosse. It's just passing and catching wins games every time. Every single time. The team that passes and catches better wins every time. It doesn't matter if it's a 3rd and 4th grade game or if it's Johns Hopkins versus Syracuse. The team that passes and catches better wins every time. And I think sometimes we just chalk this up into, we're just going to do more passing and catching. Like, come on, coach. You got to build passing and catching into everything you do. And again, I'm also a believer that any player that can pass and catch can make a difference on a lacrosse team. So this is something that just has to be just done over and over and over again. You have to be proficient at it. You have to be great at it. Passing and catching wins every time. Teach stuff in small chunks. So we'll introduce some things today here that hopefully are just like pieces of a bigger picture that you can teach the younger players. And if they just understand a small chunk, then you can add another chunk to it, add another chunk to it, add another chunk to it. And hopefully now, oh, we've built this over time, and now they're going to understand better once you get to the bigger picture. And then, you know, the approach that I take is a philosophical approach to lacrosse. We don't run any plays. We don't run any plays. I've never run a play in any of my coaching career whatsoever. But what we try to do is we try to teach patterns and systems and philosophies and decisions and options so that they can make good decisions when they're out on the field. There really are no magic bullets in lacrosse. Lacrosse is a unique sport in terms of the way that we share information. You don't go to conventions in football and everybody shows you their playbook, right? You go to lacrosse conventions, everybody's going to show you everything that they do. Okay, it's all there for you. So there's just no magic bullets in lacrosse. It's about execution, it's about passing and catching, it's about making good decisions. So those are just some general kind of thoughts that I have as I introduce kind of the idea of offense. Any questions? If there are, just stop me, because I'll just keep talking. Okay, there's really 3 different types of offense in my mind, okay? So this is something that as you develop a team, if you can kind of identify this, it will help you be a better team. So there's a dodging offense, which is everything that you do is initiated off of somebody dodging. Now, I try to make sure that my players understand, and we'll send this to you guys, and this is actually going to be posted on our YouTube, so you have to take a lot of notes, but you're welcome to take whatever notes you want. But the dodging offense, there's a difference between dodging and running with the ball. And most young kids don't understand it. They think if I'm running with the ball, I'm dodging. Okay? But a dodge has to be a specific initiated attack to the goal. I'm going to the goal. Okay? So when we say our dodge initiates the offense, it has to be an individual who is initiating an attack toward the goal. And then everything else kind of evolves from that. Okay? In order to be a dodging offense, we have to set up in our offense specific dodging situations and opportunities for our players. And so that's what we do. It's probably the easiest type of an offense. These are, again, 3 general types of offense to learn, initiate, and actually teach. The second is what we call the 2-man game or the picking game. And this is something that's very popular right now in college and high school, and it's emanated from the box lacrosse game in Canada. So if you watch box lacrosse, there's this kind of continual motion of guys picking each other and exchanging, and picking each other and exchanging, and they're always moving in and out, and they're exchanging. And there's these pairs that happen every so often, and I'm going to go and I'm going to exchange with you, and I've got the ball, and then I'm going to throw it back to you. And so there's this picking and kind of movement that happens where 2 guys end up being paired together for a short amount of time in an advantage situation. We're going to take advantage of the defense mistake. And this is, again, very popular right now in college, and you see a lot of it. What we try to do in our offense is emulate those 2 types of offense. So we try to emulate both a dodging offense, and then we have 2-man game properties that we bring into our offense as well. The third is probably more old school, a little less popular, and that's what we call a cutting and feeding offense. So cutting and feeding offense is where I, as a player, I receive the ball, and so instead of initiating an attack toward the goal, I'm more waiting and watching my other players cutting and moving, and I'm trying to find open players in that way. And so instead of me catching the ball and then again going for the goal, I'm more looking like this, looking for players who are cutting into open spaces, looking to feed them, and looking for quick shots off of an assist. It's a little less popular today. It does require more timing and better stick skills because that passing and catching happens on every single initiation. Versus dodging where I'm carrying it, okay, there's a little less passing and catching sometimes. But in that cutting and feeding offense, everything you're doing is pass, catch, pass, catch, pass, catch. So again, just kind of, again, an overview, 3 different types of offense. Yeah, Matt?
So all things being equal, you have a team that was skill to skill matched up better. One's doing one over the other. Does one come out the winner, victorious, if they're better at one of these than the other? Or just
no,
your player skill set? Or?
Yeah, I think it goes to your player skill set. It goes to, again, creating a team identity. Because, you look at, so this was a very, very popular style back in the 80s and 90s, and Syracuse and Cornell and these teams would run it, you know, and they did very, very well. But it doesn't mean it was any better necessarily than some of the other options. It's really, and that's I guess the good thing about lacrosse is it really just comes down to execution. You know, who can perform their model better than the other team, you know? And I would say none of these are better. So Princeton really popularized the two-man game in the late 90s, early 2000s. So Princeton did it, now University of Denver, and now a lot of these teams are bringing in Canadians. So Albany does a lot of this, North Carolina did a lot of it a couple years ago. So, you know, the Canadian influence now, these teams do a lot of this two-man game stuff. For a while, everybody was doing it. Like in, you know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, everybody was doing the two-man game. You know, and that kind of fad kind of comes in, and now it's changing a little bit, but, you know, it's effective, and that's why people do it. And if you do it well, nobody can stop it. If you do a two-man game well, it can't be stopped. If you run cutting and feeding in a timing manner that is perfect, you can't stop it. If you've got a guy that can dodge and nobody can stop him, you can't stop it. So in any of these scenarios, you have situations where you can be super effective. Yeah. I think in terms of teaching, though, and skill-wise, if you're looking for less skilled players, this is going to be, you know, a dodging-oriented offense is going to be your best bet. You know, the passing and catching timing offense needs skilled players to do it. And generally speaking, we have less skilled players.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah. Other questions? Okay. So again, just kind of overview of different things. So there's really 6 different offensive sets, if you want to call them that. And I always go from the top. If you're back east, sometimes they can start from X, but I go from the top. So in a 2-3-1, you would have 2 midfielders here, midfielder here, attackman here, attackman here, and attackman here. 2, 3, 1. So 2-3-1. So in our vernacular, we call that James for LeBron James, and it's a 2-3. He's 23, so James 2-3. Our guys know, hey, if we call James, that's what we're set up with. Okay? So a 2-3-1. A 2-2-2, similar. 2 attackmen here, okay? Attacking midfielder on the crease, 2 midfielders up top here. 2, 2, and 2. We call that Clyde for anybody?
Drexler.
Clyde Drexler. See, I tell that to my boys, they're like, who's that? I'm like,
You
come on.
didn't show those 80s
I know.
basketball.
I'm like, Spy Slam a Jam that you guys don't know? And they're like, huh? So, yeah, so we call this Clyde, and that's our 2-2-2. And these are kind of, I put these in probably the order of the most common that you would see, and the most basic to probably the least common that you would see there as well. And each one of these, so same thing, Matt, each one of them has some benefits, and each one of them has some drawbacks in terms of how you use them. Okay, so for instance, the 1-4-1, which we call that Harden. They know James Harden, so that's good. So that's Harden, right? Now there's a drawback to this set. What is it? Anybody tell me? Jack? Yeah, so there's only one guy here, so in case you lose the ball going this way, you've only got one defender there to defend. So it's a little bit of a weakness. Now, on the other hand, you've got 4 guys right here near the goal, so you've got a lot of scoring power and potential, but you have one guy back to defend. So we don't use this set very often because I'm a guy that's like, oh, I don't like this. I want to have defenders in place where we need them, okay? So that's a 1-4-1. A 3-2-1. We use this quite a bit. 3 midfielders, okay? You have 2 attack here, and then 1 there, okay? And we use this one quite a bit. I'm sorry, 3-1-2, oops. So here and here. And we use this one quite a bit because it gives us a lot of room in these areas for our dodging. And we call this Reggie for Reggie Miller, 31, okay? All right, Hall of Fame basketball players, that's what we went with. Okay, so we call this Reggie, and then 1-3-2 and 3-2-1. So you can kind of see, just different formations, and they offer different advantages and different kind of things. We call these shapes, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to create shapes that provide us opportunities in our offense. So if we're a dodging offense, for instance, Reggie provides us